Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton with Big C, and today is a beautiful Memorial Day weekend. It is the 28th of May, 2016. Big C, your thoughts on the show and what it means to you Memorial Day.
Charlton, Memorial Day means a lot. It means that so many Americans have given in the past, Charlton, to make life in this wonderful country what it is. You know, it's celebrated every year. It's the beginning of summer, but it's also the beginning of remembering from what this country came from to where this country is, Charlton.
Oh, yeah, definitely so. And I also want to thank all the veterans. If you fought for the country, obviously you put a lot on the line, and everybody's appreciating that. But sometimes we just forget to say it. So I want to say thank you to all the veterans out there and the ones who are still with us. Thank you for sacrificing so much and making our country as great as it is today. And also for all of you listeners out there, hope that you can enjoy this beautiful Memorial Day holiday weekend, it's a 3-day weekend, and it just means so much because we take sometimes things for granted. And Big C, I know when you talk about the holidays and what it means to people, you know, we have politics going on, we have golf, we have NBA basketball tonight with Golden State, Oklahoma City. But also, when you talk about divisiveness and people who fought for our country, I know you had some thoughts you wanted to bring up, Big C, on Mr. Donald Trump.
I do, Charlton, and he's been out there in your neighborhood in California, you know, for the past week. But, you know, here, you know, we talk about Memorial Day, so celebrating the greatness of America, those who have sacrificed and given the ultimate sacrifice for so many in this country. And yet we have a gentleman running for the commander-in-chief of this country, who his campaign, Charlton, is based on dividing America. Now, how can you advocate violence instead of respect? And that's what we've been getting in his campaign rallies. I mean, the amount of violence that he has everyday citizens getting involved in, getting arrested and going to jail and being struck down in the streets. That's not a true commander-in-chief, Charlton. That's not somebody who is talking about bringing America back together, making it a great country, having harmony and equality.
Yeah.
He is running a campaign on divisiveness more than anything else. Divisiveness and discrimination. He's even gone after federal judges, Charlton, on discrimination.
Yeah.
Racial allegations. You can't do that to the citizens of America. This is a melting pot. And I don't care what your ethnicity is in America, Charlton. We're all Americans. That's the one thing we can lay our heads down at night and say, hey, I live in the greatest country in the world. But when you have an individual that says he wants to be the commander-in-chief and he is going to get rid of people based on their ethnicity, saying that they are criminals, they create crimes. America is full of criminals, Charlton. That's what America was built on. We're criminals, people that were ostracized out of England, okay? But we also have a justice system to keep a checks and balances on that. Not one individual such as Donald Trump saying he has all the answers.
Yeah, and I think ironically, because no matter who you are, Democrat, Republican, or independent, I still look at Donald Trump, and he helped bring down the United States Football League. There are a lot of people just said he just kind of wanted to do things his way and did not believe in cooperating with people. So no matter who you vote for, just keep that in mind as you go out to the polls.
You know, my biggest faux pas right now with Donald Trump, he said he donated $1 million to the veteran organizations out of his own pocket.
Yeah.
Okay? None of that money has been seen yet. He is yet to disclose that. Now, if this is a man who wants to be commander-in-chief and saying that he's donating $1 million out of his own pocket to the veteran organizations of America.
Yeah.
Let's see it. Let's not talk. Now, if this is not a fact that he's donated this money, how can you vote for him as the commander-in-chief if he's going to make a heinous statement like this against those who have sacrificed so dearly for this country?
Yeah, I think unfortunately, though, Big C, some people don't care. because they just don't. But that's their right not to care about the facts. But irrespective of that, it's still a great Memorial Holiday weekend, and hope that everybody can get together and enjoy some food and all the great things that we take for granted sometimes here in America. But I also want to say thanks to all of our fans in Latin America. So bienvenidos to you, and hopefully we don't build that wall in the United States. And I know, Big C, when you talk about building walls, we've had a lot of good things happening in sports over the last few weeks. But today, I think the Cleveland Cavaliers are looking forward to the Game 6 Golden State and Oklahoma City. Cleveland got rid of Toronto in 4 games. Toronto played them tough at home, but the last game, it just seems like Cleveland had a lot more firepower. And LeBron James, it seems like he's made his home in the NBA Finals no matter what city he plays in. So your thoughts on the great King James and how great he's been, not just for Cleveland, but for the NBA Finals?
Well, Charlton, it was a foregone conclusion at the start of this series that Cleveland would make the NBA Finals. It took them 6 games to get there, but, no one expected realistically for Toronto to make the Finals with James, the marketing level and prominence that he has for the NBA. Now, he's made the Finals, as you say, 6 consecutive years.
Yeah.
Only matched by the great Boston Celtics teams of the 70s. When they had of the 60s, when they had 7 players go to 6 consecutive NBA titles. The only difference is, Charlton, they won all 6 of those. LeBron, this is his 6th, and he's only won 2 thus far. But, nevertheless, it's going to be a tremendous NBA final, whoever makes it, Oklahoma City or Golden State.
Yeah.
They're most likely going to make Cleveland the odds-on favorite, along with the officials.
This is not the SEC, Big C. It's the NBA, not the SEC.
Okay, all right. So,
but you did get it right, though. I understand. If you get it right with Jerry Jones and Mark Davis, they're always trying to push Las Vegas. Maybe because they spend so much time there, Big C. But you did mention LeBron James, the 6th straight NBA Finals, and that's just incredible. And I know a lot of times even Tyrone Lue acknowledges that he allows players to coach the team, which I think he's just kind of saying he has to say that because that's just the way it's going to be when you can't really argue with a guy who's been there 6 times in a row. But I just think that's great for basketball. Tonight, Oklahoma City, I think Steve Kerr brought up a great point. They have to go big on big. And what Golden State has to understand is they're both great three-point shooting teams. Golden State can cancel out the three-point shooting. If they miss a three-point basket, they're not getting rebounds with a smaller lineup. So he's going big this time. Bogut played a lot more minutes. Also, he had Speeds and Azili playing more. And they use what's called analytics to determine how they can play with OKC when their big players are in Big C. I think he's caught on that. He's not so focused on being the leading three-point shooting team. I think that might help Golden State in the rebound department because they were even in rebounds in the last game that they won in Oakland, Big C.
Well, Charlton, analytics and analytics was probably started in the Bay Area with Billy Beane.
Oakland A's.
With Oakland A's, he was the general manager, and he based it all on statistics.
Yeah.
But one of the things when you get down to this point of the season, Charlton, statistics will help you get to a point.
Yeah.
But sports is a game of pure athleticism and emotion, okay, Charlton? Yeah. That's what it comes down to. Analytics are what you use on draft day.
Yeah.
What you use in pregame, you're talking about the numbers when you have the analysts sitting there going over this percentage, that percentage. But when you get into the game, the true emotion of the game, how do analytics apply when you're on a fast break, okay? How do analytics apply when you're making a rebound? How do analytics apply when there's a foul call? Charlton, analytics is great for those talking heads that are sitting behind a camera and a microphone that haven't played the games. Okay, but we all know that statistically it comes from the game.
Yeah.
But when you're talking about a guy's stats are what? Past tense, aren't they?
Yeah.
It's something that has occurred already. Okay, the emotion of the game is what's occurring now.
Yeah.
And that's what you cannot put into analytics. Analytics, how many times analytics are going to tell you that Draymond Green is going to kick somebody, okay, Charlton?
Yeah.
How many times is Steph Curry going to make a three-point shot? We know what his shooting percentage is, but if he goes cold that night, do analytics play into it, or he's just having a bad shooting night?
And see, that's one of the things, too, that Kerr talked about, because obviously Andrew Bogut's 30 minutes of playing time in which he delivered 15 points and 14 rebounds, He even had 2 blocked shots, Big C. And then they bring in Verajal, which I don't understand because he's just a rebounder, doesn't really add much offensively. But Marquise Speeds played 4 minutes, 17 seconds in the second. This guy can shoot threes, and he's almost 7 feet tall. And then Festus Ezeli, who's not that great from the free throw line, but he's a heck of a rebounder. So that's something that he's trying to do more, is keep those guys on the floor. And his point to that was Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Andre Iguodala, Harrison Barnes, and Draymond Green. They played together for only 2 minutes and 32 seconds at a certain span of the game because he tried to keep missing his bigs in to help go up against some of the OKC bigs. So I think they're going to mix things around, but as you mentioned, Big C, it comes down to who's going to play well. Also, some officiating. Ironically, Golden State is only 2-4 in the road this year, Big C, in the playoffs, which is rare for them. And I know Curry was hurt a little bit, but if they're going to win this game tonight, they have to keep their big guys on. And I think start pounding the ball down inside and get your 3-point baskets that way. I only want to see Curry and Thompson shooting threes. Let the other guys go to the basket and get a foul. If not, Durant and Westbrook, they're going to drive to the basket. But you have to counterbalance that, Big C. Just your thoughts on that.
But is that analytics, or is that just playing the game, Charlton? You just spoke about what they need to do. That's not analytics. That's playing the game. That's analyzing the games. Analytics, if analytics meant anything, Charlton, Barry Sanders, think about it. Great running back, former Detroit Lion, Hall of Fame running back. This guy, of all the running backs in the Hall of Fame, Charlton, lost more yards from the line of scrimmage than any running back in the Hall of Fame. He lost more yards from line of scrimmage than a lot of backs had in their career in positive yards.
Yeah.
So if analytics was the be-all to be-all, Barry Sanders would be in the Hall of Fame. But analytics could not dictate any of those great runs that he had, Charlton, as a running back. I mean, he was a guy, when he touched the ball, you didn't even blink.
Oh, he was amazing.
You never knew what was going to happen.
Yeah, amazing.
I saw him make defensive backs missing a phone booth, and he still came out the other side.
Right.
So that wasn't analytics. That's just athletic talent. That's your mind processing what you need to do. So as an athlete, we process what we need to do.
Yeah.
As an analytic, that's just an analyst sitting there saying, hey, somebody passed me some numbers and said, this is what happened.
Yeah.
But the motion of the game happens in real time. Anybody can sit on a laptop and crunch numbers, Charlton.
Yeah, that's true. And I know that if you think about how all the sports teams, whether you have the leading teams outside of the 72 Dolphins, every team that set the winning record, whether you go back to the Patriots when they were trying to go 18-0, and you also had, it happened to the 49ers one time also, but you look at all the teams that have won the most games in the history of any major sport, I believe I saw a stat that they did not go on to win the championship that year. So that's kind of the Popovich rule. You save some of your players. I still think Golden State and OKC will go down to 7 games. It's just my thought because both teams are so talented. And Steve Kerr, if he's going to have to pull out his MVP coaching, I mean, he was Coach of the Year this year, even though he was hurt for a lot of the season, Big C. This is
games, Charlton.
Yeah, missed quite a few games and helped Walton get the job down with the Lakers. But this is just a game where I don't want to see it go just 6 games. I want to see 7 games. I want to see. This is what the NBA is for. This reminds me of the Boston Celtics and the Los Angeles Lakers when you had Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, and Pell, and Parrish, and Kareem, and Worthy, those guys. This is what NBA is all about. Just your thoughts. I know people want to get the game over fast if you're up like OKC is, but for the fans and the TV ratings and people who do what we do, I love this time of year because you see the best of the best, Big C.
Well, Charlton, let me give you the true analytics on this game, okay? The analytics on this game is who outscores who out-rebounds who, and who creates the less fouls, okay? That's the analytics of this game. But let's be realistic.
Yeah.
The team that scores the most points analytically will win this game.
Yeah, and I think also something that we all can pay attention to, how many times do you get foul shots? I remember back in 2000, the Kings were playing the Lakers in the Western Conference Finals, and I think the Lakers shot like 21 more foul shots than the Kings. And both teams are driving the basket. That was clearly a game that was officiated to keep the Lakers in the finals. And I just think if we see at the end of the first half who's going to the free throw line the most, I think that will give a telltale in what's going to happen in the second half. Because as you know, Big C, when you get your guys in foul trouble, they're not going to be as effective. And I would love to see the guys from California getting some love from the referees down in OKC so we can get our 7 games. And overall, I think Golden State's a better team, but they've caught OKC on a hot streak. We'll just have to see how it plays out in this Game 6, Big C. Any thoughts on the officiating, though?
I'll see if I can get you some pom-poms FedEx out there, okay? Because it seems like you need some pom-poms and a Lulu.
Well, see, I'm West Coast, baby. I know you're the Southeast and you love all the South teams, but out here in the West Coast, we want to see a little bit more of basketball being played, especially at the highest level, and I would love to see a repeat of OKC and Golden State when Golden State wins again out in Oakland. That's just my thoughts, Big C.
Well, whatever occurs is going to be good for the NBA, Charlton. Whether you get a repeat champ, whether you get a first-time champ. The NBA will always rise above. When you think about the tremendous talent, the tremendous athletes that league represents, probably the best athletes in all the world other than some hockey players. People talk about football, but football players cannot do what basketball players, but basketball players can do what football players do.
Yeah. That's true.
And you really you see a man that's 7 feet tall that can run up and down this court gracefully, athletically, Charlton, and make the moves that they make. That's an uncanny thing. The layman person on the street can only dream to do what they do.
Yeah.
But when you sit down and you watch an NBA basketball game, Charlton, you just have to marvel at what these men can do, what they can create. And I'm excited about the next game and even the championship series, regardless of who's there.
Yeah, you talk about athletes that can play dual sports. I remember the great Deion Sanders playing football and also baseball. I remember Bo Jackson playing football and baseball. I remember...
We talked about Chuck Connors playing in the NBA for the Boston Celtics, a great actor from the 60s and 70s. So, these are athletes who can do this.
Yeah, and you talk about...
It's a rare breed.
It's a rare breed, Big C. And also, we bring up the great Michael Jordan, how he got out of basketball when he retired for about a year and a half and tried to play baseball, but he couldn't hit the curveball as well as he could hit the 3-point basket.
He couldn't hit the fastball to get the curveball. He couldn't hit the fastball.
I think Michael Jordan decided he'd be better investing his time and stock with Nike. So he actually did a lot better when he went back to basketball and put on his Nike cleats. But also, I want to just say that this segment is sponsored by Bud Light because it tastes great and helps you feel good. And I hope that everyone who's going to decide to drink this weekend, please do not drive. You have so many people counting on you to get home safely. So keep that in mind when you're out there having a good time with family and friends. Also, your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard of the world. Go down and test drive it. And when you're test driving it, make sure you tell them that Charlton and Big C sent you. Also, Big C, another great sport. You talked about Lord Stanley's Cup. The San Jose Sharks, they're in the Stanley Cup Finals for the first time in their history against the Pittsburgh Penguins. And that series starts on Monday night in Pittsburgh. So hopefully San Jose, because I'm out here on the West Coast, I got to pull for the West Coast. I know you guys all love football down south, Big C, but it means a lot to out here in the Bay Area just to have some more championship teams. We got them in football, basketball, and baseball. We need a championship team in the Bay Area for hockey, Big C. Your thoughts on Lord Stanley's Cup?
Well, when you think about it, Charlton, this is the Sharks' first appearance in the Stanley Cup Finals. They came into the NHL back in the 92-93 season, joining the league, and now they've made it to Lord Stanley Cup. Now, the Pittsburgh Penguins have been there before, and they got the great Sidney Crosby there. Before that, they had the great Mario Lemieux.
Yeah, Lemieux was amazing.
They haven't been in the championship season since 2006, the last time they were in the Stanley Cup Finals.
Yeah.
I give Pittsburgh the advantage based on the experience that they have, Charlton. They have such a depth of array of talent in their lineup. Now, we always know that there's going to be 3 games at least played in San Jose if they go 7.
Yeah.
And we know how Sharks perform around water.
And I know how they perform. They love to eat penguins too, Big C. So the Sharks love to eat penguins. It'd be breaking news if the Penguins eat the Sharks, Big C. Just your thoughts on that.
And so what you're expecting is a feeding frenzy by these Sharks. But,
exactly.
I'm expecting a great game. I think it might go 6. The Penguins right now, they're playing marvelous hockey, skating around on that ice, which, grown men with knives strapped to their shoes, is a tremendous feat to be able to do.
Yeah.
But, we spoke about it many times, no Canadian teams in the championship this year. But the NHL is a very strong league, Charles, and they will do fine fanfare-wise.
Yeah.
And by having a new team in San Jose, the Shark Tank is going to be hopping.
Oh, you definitely.
and the Eagle in Pittsburgh is going to be rocking. So expect the great Stanley Cup Series.
Well, the Sharks, when they invade Igloos, it's not a pretty sight, Big C, so hopefully that'll be a great series. But also, Joe Thornton and Patrick Marleau have been linked since they went number 1 and 2 in the 1997 NHL draft to Boston and also San Jose. Now at age 36, and after more than 3,000 combined games, 949 goals, and 2,610 career points between the regular season and the playoffs between those two great guys. So great for the NHL, great for hockey, and great for sports fans all over the world. And also, this segment is sponsored by your Northern California BMW dealers, home of the ultimate driving machine. Go down and test drive from the 1 Series all the way up to the powerful 600 horsepower M7, also known as a 760 Li. And when you're test driving it, let them know that Charlton and Big C sent you. Now, also, Big C, I know we do a lot of talk about driving. We talked about a 600 horsepower car, but I think we just had the 100th running of the big race. And I think when you think about race car drivers that drive over 200 miles per hour, you know, that's a dangerous feat, I think. But we have a huge race that's going on right now, and they have Cannon set the pace on the final practice session for the Indianapolis 500. The 100th running, Big C, that's a lot of driving for a lot of skilled drivers.
You know, the old Brickyard in Indianapolis, Charlton, has always been the flagship raceway in America.
Yeah.
And when you think about reaching that golden milestone of 100 races, Charlton, and only for the second time in history we've talked about the Stanley Cup playoffs, is a Canadian leading the pole, Charlton, at the Indianapolis 500.
Yeah.
So, you know, when you think about the prestigiousness of the race, and this race goes back with a winner, drinks milk at the championship.
I love the milk.
Winner's circle,
yeah.
Which is tremendous. You know, we're in the heartland of America, Dairyland, and so that's where the milk at the Indianapolis 500 came about.
Yeah.
But when you think about the evolution of that raceway and the cars, Charlton, that, you know, cars on the straightaway are doing between 220, 230 miles an hour.
Yeah.
You know, and the horsepower that these cars have, I know you talk about the BMW, which has engines in the Indianapolis 500, but those cars are producing between 15 and 1,700 horsepower, Charlton.
That's amazing.
And running at 500 miles over a matter of about hour and a half, hour and 40 minutes.
Yeah.
So it's a tremendous spectacle, the greatest racing spectacle in all of America. And to be there and to feel the power of those engines, and I've been at the 500 a couple times, but when it goes by, the screaminess, just the enthusiasm from the fans, and you're going to get a couple 100,000 people there in Indianapolis.
Yeah.
It is a true Americana event, Charlton.
Well, I think it's so important that people learn to drive safe. I know we talk about how much horsepower cars have, but when you look at these there's laps of 226 miles per hour, and that's just incredible. But these guys are well trained, and so don't go out and drive crazy this weekend. And again, we just want to remind people, enjoy this wonderful holiday weekend, this great Memorial Day weekend. We want you all to be safe and have a great time so you can get back home and see your families. And also, Big C, I know that we talk so much about the world of sports, and I know there's golf going on all over the country. And Jordan Spieth down at the PGA, it's called the DeLuca Invitational, and at Colonial Country Club. Well, right now he's leading the field in the third day. He's actually 12 under, and he had 6 birdies and 1 bogey. So Dave, even though, you know, we've heard about Dave being a top golfer, but Spieth had the meltdown at the Masters. But right now he seems to have his swing back, at least for this golf tournament. Big C, your thoughts on him?
Well, Jordan Spieth's a very young man. His game, though, Charlton, is just has been consistent. He's also enjoying his social life as much as he enjoys his golf life. Now, let's take that in retrospect. If that was golf, I mean, Tiger enjoyed his social life that well. You know,
yeah.
Plastered all over social media.
All over the internet.
So,
that's because of race. It's still a racial thing, and people don't want to see some of that, Big C. That's all it is. It's archaic, but it's true.
The young athletes are different than the athletes of 20, 30 years ago, okay?
Yeah.
There was more focus and there was less media attention. Now you have so many people with cell phone cameras, just high-definition cameras, everywhere trying to get a shot of somebody that you kind of lose your own personal life to the media.
Yeah.
So if you falter in any kind of way, they're going to say it's because of what you were out doing. Well, we saw him in a bar. I mean, last week, you know, they talked about two Toronto Raptor players being in a casino outside of Cleveland the day before the game or the day of the game. What does that have to do with shooting baskets on the court? I mean, when you're in a casino, normally you're sitting down relaxing.
You're supposed to be sitting down relaxing. You're right, Big C.
So it's not like you're running laps. So, to make that an incident that a player in his own social time. That it didn't belong to him. It still belonged to the media. I think they put too much emphasis on being the guy to break the story that is meaningless. And that's what I'm talking about. When you don't have people who have played the game, they want to break the story that's meaningless, trying to affect the team's psyche, which is out of character for anybody to want to do.
No, I understand. And also, Mulder had the lead yesterday going into Bryce Mulder at the Colonial, and they had that suspended because of darkness, but I'm just happy for Spieth to get his swing back, and hopefully he can do better. There's still talk that Tiger Woods is going to maybe play by the end of the year. He's always in the record books, Big C, 14 majors, and hopefully he'll get to 18 in the next year or two. Big C, he'll get healthy again. And also, this final segment on this happy Memorial Day holiday weekend is brought to you by your Northern California Ford dealer. This built Ford Tough. Go down and test drive the all-new F-150 and tell them that Charlton and Big C sent you. Also, BeneathHisWingsFoundation.org. Make a donation today. It's easy, it's fast, it's secure. Contact Cynthia Evans at CYNN Entertainment. When it comes to promotions, she's the best in Northern California, and tell her that Charlton and Big C sent you. Now, also, Big C, I want to bring this up to you because we have the Olympic hopefuls. They had a track meet up in Oregon today, and when you talk about the Olympic trials, the 100-meter dash is my favorite, Big C. It's called the Prefontaine Classic. Justin Gatlin, Tyson Gay, they faced Jamaican Asafa Powell today, and that's great for the Olympics. What do you think of track and field? It seems to have fallen off a little bit, Big C, because people are into basketball and football, but we just talked about some of the greatest runners in the history of sports, Big C. Your thoughts on track and field?
Well, when you think about track and field, Charlton, it was such a prestigious event back in the early 60s, late 60s, early 70s, when you think about America's involvement. But you talk about basketball, football, baseball, now because there's so much of that on television, is that track and field has kind of lost its steam. I mean, we think about the 10 relays. That would be on every year. They used to have the West Coast relays.
That used to be down in Fresno in Central California, the West Coast relays. That used to be a major event in California, Big C, but that's gone now.
Those are the two biggest track and field events, Charlton, in America, and those were precursors to the Olympics. And you saw all the top track and field athletes every year at those two events, Charlton, but they're gone by the wayside because, people want to be involved with basketball. And when you put all 82 games of a team on television, and now with the Major League Baseball, 162 games you got on television. The NFL, you get all 16 games. Hockey, they're running season with hockey, whatever. They play 64 games. But when you look at that, where is there room for track and field when you only have an event, a major event, every 2 to 3 months, Charlton?
I remember doing
sort of like left by the wayside.
I remember the U.S. Track and Field finals. Actually, the tournament was held in Sacramento back in 2000. Tom Hammond was doing the play-by-play, and I remember met Carl Lewis there in the press box. There's a lot of people who are just excited about it, and I know Ben Johnson and Carl Lewis had their days back in the day when one accused the other of steroids and other things. But I want you to think about this story real quick, Big C. London retest showed 23 positives. Nearly 24 athletes tested positive in their reanalysis of their doping samples in the 2012 London Olympics. Now, this is the Olympics. We talked about the West Coast relays. Adding to that, more than 30 already caught in reinstating from 2008 Beijing Olympics. Now, keep this in mind. Overall, we talked about the decline in track and field. Overall, Big C, up to 55 athletes from the past 2 Summer Olympics could be retroactively disqualified because they were blood doping, Big C. Is that the reason that it's fallen up some, Big C?
Well, that's always been a part of the Olympics, Charlton. If you go back to the...
But why are we surprised if it's always been a part? Why don't they just allow it? Because they're not a minor league sport. These are professionals. If they know that people are cheating, let everybody cheat, Big C. At least make it fair. Is that realistic at all?
Well, Charlton, America cheats, okay? We take an NBA team to the Olympics to play amateurs, okay?
That's cheating.
So we're cheating. And the Russians...
Hulk Hogan cheated. He got $125 million. Can't everybody learn from Hulk Hogan? It's okay to cheat as long as you get paid.
The Russians always took a professional team in hockey to the Olympics.
Oh, the Russians never cheated, though, right, Big C? They never bled dope.
Well, but when you start thinking about this, even in Sochi with the Russians, where they have a dozen athletes, tested Sochi the last Winter Olympics. Those are just the ones they tested. They didn't test
the others.
They got to a dozen and they ain't going anywhere.
When you got a dozen tested positive, you still got 20 to go, we say that's enough.
That's enough.
Who's the great actor that said, "I want the truth," and he said, "You can't handle the truth"? That was Tom Cruise and the great Jack, I believe.
Jack Nicholson.
Yeah.
When you look at athletics, Charlton, there's always people trying to get a competitive edge. I mean, we had the steroid abuse in football several years ago where, they were testing players. And they still have players taking performance-enhancing drugs.
Wait, hold on, Big C. Hold on. Are you saying professional athletes use performance-enhancing drugs? Only you and Jose Canseco are saying that. Everybody else says, those were not my needles. In fact, there's a commercial. There's this big Lou Ferrigno-looking weightlifter on TV, and this lady's asking what kind of milk is going to be in his system because she wants to give her baby's milk. And she goes, "Do you use any type of performance-enhancing steroids?" And he's like, "No." She says, whose needle is that in your arm? He goes, "That's not mine." It reminds me of all these athletes, and we all seem shocked when someone tests positive for steroids. Cut the garbage. Most of them don't even get to that level unless they're on something, Big C. Your thoughts on that, or is that naive?
Well, Charlton, when you sit there and you got guys saying, "Well, I took something over the counter that I didn't know," okay?
Yeah, I didn't know what it was.
But, okay, well, all these teams have nutritionists. They have chemists. They have doctors that can tell you what you can and cannot put in your body.
Yeah.
So don't say you took something that your wife or your girlfriend had in the cabinet because you had congestion and you couldn't breathe, so you started taking this and it opened up your sinuses. Okay, Charles?
Yeah, well,
there's no professional athlete out there that's not naive to what he's putting in his body, Charles.
Now,
when you're on this $1 billion level, and you're saying, "Well, I took something that I didn't know what it was," that's like walking into a crack house, Charles, and saying, "Hey, pass me some," okay?
I thought it was candy. I didn't know it was crack. That's why it's not my crack. It's just all over his fingers. But when
give me one of those mints laying there.
Now, I know this is real talk, Big C, and I respect so much of what Jose Canseco did, even though I don't respect him for doing it, because he kind of turned on everybody who was doing the same thing he did. But he told the truth, and you were so big on talking about replay and how we should just get rid of it and let the human error be part of the game, because even in tonight's game, Golden State, if they win tonight, they could become the third team in NBA history to overcome a 3-1 deficit in the conference finals. And I'm going on record saying I think they'll win tonight because it's better for the league to have 7 games. Now, I might be wrong, but I just think that's going to...
Maybe I need to go down that lottery. Send me some numbers so I can go get confident numbers.
When we talk about being the $1 million show, I think the Mega Millions over like $200 million or whatever it is. LeBron James doesn't even care about $200 million. He has, $1 billion? But again, you talk so much, Big C, on sports. Just be honest, let people do whatever they're going to do as long as they both get the equal amount of moonshine or whatever they put in them. And I hope that we can at least be honest about it, Big C, because athletics, the guys at the top level, I mean, maybe there's a few that don't do something wrong, but a lot of guys, they do whatever they can to get an advantage, Big C. And I think that's just real, Big C. That's real talk.
Well, Charlton, when you look at the athletes of today and you look at the chiseled bodies, yes, you have to go into the gym and you have to be dedicated.
Well, thank you for noticing, Big C. I did it all natural, by the way. Thank you for noticing, okay? Appreciate it.
Okay, I don't want to talk about your hairdo, Charlton, okay?
Okay.
All right. But, I don't care who the athlete is. You're putting some type of supplement in your body.
Yeah.
Whether it's legal or illegal, all athletes are using supplements, Charlton. You just can't recuperate. Even if you look at the commercials on TV, they talk about muscle milk.
Yeah.
They talk about the Gatorade.
Yeah.
They're talking about putting something in your body that's not natural to help you replenish where you were.
I'm glad you brought that up. Big C, because they're talking about substances. Some are banned, some are legal. But every single one of them, they're there to help you increase your performance. So, Big C, in the final 2 minutes of this program today on this beautiful Memorial Day holiday weekend. I'm glad you brought that up, because from the high school level to the college level to the professional level, they're endorsers of these substances, if you want to call it that can enhance your performance. Even though we hear Viagra, I mean, that's to enhance performance in a different area, but it's there. We talk about so many things that people know that works. Why not let people use what they use? Just monitor it and make sure that everybody has access to the same in equal amount.
Ironically, Charlton, you talk about Viagra, Cialis, all of these things are muscle enhancement, not just performance when they talk about from a central perspective, but it also increases the blood flow in the rest of the body, so when you're lifting, it also will allow you to pump up. And that's a legal substance because you can get a prescription for it. Yeah. So, but when you talk about these these commercials, what, GNC?
Yeah.
GNC is an enhancement, a muscle enhancement company. So they're pushing products that may not be totally legal in some incidents, but, you know, when they talk about enhancement, you don't get bigger, faster, and stronger. Everybody is not a Herschel Walker who was going out doing 1,500 push-ups and 2,500 sit-ups.
Or Terrell Owens, same kind. You're right.
You're not seeing that. So people have to use enhancement, Charlton. It's hard to find a defensive lineman who is 6'6", 300 pounds, Charlton, and only has a 38-inch waist, okay?
Well, at USC, they have a lot of those guys. I think Alabama's going to find out when they come down and beat you good boys in the kickoff classic, Big C. But in the final 30 seconds of the program today, Big C, what are your thoughts on Memorial Day, what it means to you, and what wish do you want to leave to all the veterans out there, Big C?
Well, what it means to me, Charlton, is those that have served our country and deserve the utmost respect from all of us as Americans, regardless of our walk or our creed, is that we take a moment and pay homage to those great men and women who have served in our armed forces over the decades to make this country and keep this country what it is, Charlton. And for all of those who do not understand what sacrifice is, just take a moment and ask someone.
And that's very well said, Big C. This final segment has been brought to you by United Labor, $100,000 life insurance guaranteed, no medical checkups. Also by Goosehead PNC, can beat about 99% of the people in the industry for property and casualty quotes. And also, Big C, as I love talking to you every time we talk about sports and life, but you know we're out of time on this beautiful Memorial Day weekend. This is a special edition show because we want to honor the veterans and everyone who's fought so hard for our country. So we always want you to know we appreciate everything you've done, and we thank you for listening every Monday through Friday at 5 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We appreciate it, we thank you, and we hope you have a super fantastic weekend.